Deciding where to settle down and raise your family can be a difficult decision for many of us to make. The decision can be nearly impossible for a newly retired veteran. With over 2 million post 9/11 vets, half of which are young adults, the toughest battle of their life could be finding a place to call home. Well, Sperling's Best Places has once again compiled a list of the best places for military retirement. And here to explain the top 10 are the editor of military.com, Ward Carroll, and military financial planner, Scott Hallowell. Gentlemen, hello.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
It's great having you. Ward, let's talk about this. What were the criteria that you used to help evaluate the cities?
So this is the third year that military.com and USAA have partnered with Sperling's Best Places to come up with such a list. This year is different in that we skewed the formula to a younger demographic. So instead of looking at retirees, we looked at transitioning veterans who were short of retirement eligible. And as a result, the formula was different. It focused on education, using your education benefits. It focused on transferring your military skills and the affordability of various regions. And so we got both a state-by-state list and a top 10 nationwide list that, quite frankly, surprised us in that they're not necessarily military areas.
Yeah, it's a very smart shift, by the way. There's so many brave young men and women that are coming back to America and need a place to be. So let's go through that top 10. Who was number one? I want to get straight to the top, the cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop this year is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Wow. Why is that?
Yeah. Well, and that's to Ward's point. That's the surprise that a lot of people say, well, how did you come up with the list? And going back to what Ward just covered in terms of the variables that we focused most heavily on, Pittsburgh happened to rank high in a number of those. Wow. So there's a lot of military skill-related jobs available in Pittsburgh, great educational opportunities with the universities that are there, and the affordability of Pittsburgh relative to the rest of the country is a pretty good number. So you put all that together, and Pittsburgh ends up on the top.
And sliding through the rest of the top 10, what other cities made the list?
So we'll do it David Letterman style from now, because we know number one. We'll go 10 to 2.
Okay.
St. Louis, Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Warren, Michigan, Atlanta, Cleveland, Dallas, where we are now, Phoenix, and as we said, number one is Pittsburgh. So it's a cool list in that those aren't military towns necessarily.
No, not at all.
And as people are making the pivot to their second phase of their working life, it opens the aperture in ways that we think is both actionable, and it's going to result in a great second phase.
No question. And Vegas did not make the list. Phoenix right down the street, though. What do you think Vegas could do better?
Well, I don't know that we want to focus on that.
Yeah, it's not about that. I mean, it's the list doesn't mean everybody else isn't doing it right.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we would say in general is the industries in Vegas, whether it's the gaming industry or whatever else, consider what a veteran brings to the workforce, right? And this doesn't mean these vet as victims attributes like PTSD or whatever. We're talking about folks who've made the mission happen, who've faced great challenges, and who've excelled in these environments. And I mean, imagine what that can do for your organization. So, we're of a mind, USA and military.com, that we want to help the veterans leverage their skills in actionable ways, and then we also want the civilian sector to welcome them in not a sort of charity, setup, but in a way that is to the benefit of the organization. So sort of a win-win kind of thing.
No question. There was an interview that happened not too long ago on The Daily Show where it puts a spotlight on the fact that our veterans have a 4% higher unemployment rate than the general population, partly because the great training and the things that they do overseas and with the military, they don't necessarily have an exact classification that can work in civilian life. Is there any way we can bridge that gap?
Well, I think one of the great ways to bridge it is to do your homework and really figure out the types of skills that you have and how they translate to civilian skills. Military.com, where Ward is the editor, has a great skills translator on their website that folks can use. But that all starts, that's part of the planning process. That's whether it's the skills translator on military.com or the list that we've created here. We think that for people to really get themselves in a good spot or a better spot, you've got to begin planning. You think about the military, everything has a plan around it, everything has a strategy behind what you're going to do. You need to approach the transition to the civilian world the same way.
Well, you're doing great work for our men and women. We really appreciate your work. Thank you so much.
Thanks for talking to us, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, and hopefully Las Vegas makes the cut further and further up this next year as well. If you want to get more information about the list of cities for veterans, just head to usaa.com/best places. You could also see this segment again on our website, vegasmorningblend.com. Dow, over to you.